la sinsinangi changmala thisum dele ta thari resapasang an changmala la resapasang sang shay ta ngara joina ta tharin dela chuju shibane chupadara tanda SFTP ge rangsil henzo da ani shunu lenzo nyamru thone phagela gemi shungzap khang gi dun la legu A-NYA SENGDRA da tanda jonga na la chu raun di loje gi thola tande gi ngozo gi kebe legul chikpe risha and dela kiran su changma phe na ngozo phagela jeyong ngani da tanda di motor gude ta dini pha thendrai and phagele na jeyong changmalo laso sering.
Long live the Dalai Lama! 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 Long live the Pension 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 Lama! China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now!
Guilty!
Guilty of genocide!
Guilty of genocide!
China is guilty!
China is guilty!
Guilty of genocide!
Guilty of genocide!
Free Tibet, China out!
Free Tibet, China out!
Free Tibet, China out!
Free Tibet, China out!
China, China, China!
Out, out, out!
When?
No, no, no!
Free Tibet, China out!
Free Tibet, China out!
Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!
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 World is watching!
World is watching!
Free A-NYA SENGDRA!
Free
So much everyone for coming out today. It is truly incredibly inspiring for us to see how many people came out, because last week we had the same protest and a fraction of the people came. And I know this doesn't feel like a lot, but the fact of the matter is, for the grand majority of us, we've never seen Tibet. We've never stepped foot inside of a free or unfree Tibet. And yet we know in our hearts the importance of standing up for Tibetan heroes. We know that the work they do inside of Tibet, the resistance they engage in inside of Tibet, is what is going to make a free Tibet a reality one day. So thank you everyone so much for coming out for A-NYA SENGDRA. I know everyone knows why they came here today, but just for a little bit of background, A-NYA SENGDRA, he's a Tibetan nomad and an environmentalist from Gyeongju, Bulok, Amdo, Tibet. And he founded an organization that fought against illegal mining, poaching of endangered species inside of Tibet, and also anti-corruption. So A-NYA SENGDRA's communities was one of the many nomadic communities inside of Tibet that faced forcible relocation, right? Relocation by the Chinese authorities to make way for these major mega development projects and all of this urbanization and infrastructure. And they were promised by the local authorities, they were promised resettlement funds, right? Recompensation for making them leave their home and be forcibly relocated into concrete complexes. But they didn't receive it. Instead, that money in Gyeongju, Bulok, Tibet was funneled into building a big mall, right? It was embezzled. And so one of A-NYA's key priorities outside of environmental work was this really critical anti-corruption work. But he started to gain influence in his community, right? He started to become a very real threat to the Chinese government. So, in 2018, he was arrested and sentenced to 7 years in prison. His release date was supposed to be September 4th, 2025, which was yesterday. But just last week, we received the news from inside Tibet that A-NYA's sentence was extended until at least 2026. He received a secondary charge or offense inside of prison. This is a very common CCP tactic, which is to slap on new charges to keep political prisoners in prison for as long as possible, to keep human rights defenders in prison for as long as possible. A-NYA is in deteriorating health. The singular family visit that he received, that his family was permitted to, the singular time his family was permitted to visit him. Oh, all right. They reported he was in full more and worse himself. His brother Jimchi, who was also arrested in 2016, died in prison after being taken to a Chinese hospital. Time is of the essence. A-NYA SENGDRA fought for the very values we espouse in exile. But now it is our time to fight for him, to defend him, to make sure he can return to his community safe and sound. So again, thank you so much everyone for coming. Lastly, before we begin with our programming, I think a lot of us, some of us may have engaged in political prisoner campaigns before, but for many of us, myself included, this is a first. This is the first time campaigning for a political prisoner, and a lot of people have asked in the past few times we've been out to protest outside of the Chinese consulate and beyond, is it really effective, right? Is what you're doing actually making a difference for Tibetans inside Tibet? And whenever I get asked that question, I always think back to the same moment, the same time I heard this story, and some of you may have heard this story before. But Dunda Bongchenla, who is a filmmaker and a former Tibetan political prisoner, now living in exile, he once told me and some other fellow student activists this story one time. He said, when I was in prison, for a little bit of background, Dunda Bongchen was in prison. Dunda Bongchen was in prison for 6 or 7 years for a documentary he made, right? A documentary that essentially exposed the reality of life under occupation ahead of the 2008 Beijing Olympics. And for that, he was thrown in prison. And he said one day, when he was in prison, a Chinese guard came up to him, came up to his cell, and he threw down a newspaper in front of his cell. And he said, "Who is this? Do you know this man?" I believe it was a New York Times newspaper clipping. And he said, "Who is this man? Do you know this man?" And Dunda Bongchenla looked at the photo, and it was a man he didn't know, but he was holding up a photo of Dunda Bongchenla. And it turns out that man was Sedoji from Students for a Free Tibet, Japan, and it was a picture of him in the New York Times outside of his local Chinese consulate campaigning for Dunda Bongchenla's release. And Dunda Bongchenla said, "I don't know this man." But he said that after that moment, his torture decreased. The Chinese authorities treated him much better, and more than anything, from that moment on, he had hope. He said that his entire time in prison, he did not know whether his movie had, his footage had even made it out to the public, had even made it out to exile. And now he knew that not only had people seen his film, but people were campaigning for his release. People cared about him. And that from that moment onward, he had the hope to continue. And there are countless stories like this. So when we come out and protest, just remind yourself that what you're doing does make a difference. And that it is getting back to Tibet, right? It is getting back to political prisoners inside of Tibet. So let us not forget that. So we're also really, really lucky today to have some wonderful young people, Tibetans and allies alike, who also have things that they want to say about A-NYA SENGDRA, about why they came here today. So I want to start with a young person named Uma. We'll start with some words from Uma. She's part of SFT near New Jersey and NYU, and she actually just recently engaged in the hunger strike for gompoki outside of the Chinese consulate just last week. And she would like to share some words today as well. But really quickly, I think it's really loud right here, so maybe we just pivot a little bit here, and everyone can come together. I think Tilla said it already, but I'll say it one more time. Uma took her first major action for Tibet by doing a 24-hour hunger strike for gompoki and doridashi. That was just 2 weeks ago. Now Uma is here standing in front of the consulate again, but this time to advocate for A-NYA SENGDRA. We think this is the exact type of activism, young person, pipeline that we want to see. So shout out to Uma. Thank you so much, Uma. Thank you. And thank you so much to everyone that has helped Uma get to this point, right?
It's been more than 2,555 days since A-NYA SENGDRA has been detained and locked behind bars. China has falsely convicted him of picking quarrels, provoking trouble and gathering people to disturb public order. But we all know these are lies. China continues its attempts to erase the very people who are working to keep Tibetans alive in Tibet. They twist the truth, distorting the work of activists and environmentalists like A-NYA SENGDRA to disguise their oppression. A-NYA SENGDRA is not a criminal. He is a leader who united his community to fight illegal mining, wildlife poaching, and corruption. And that is exactly why he was detained, for defending his land and his people. And this is exactly what China is afraid of, Tibetans standing up for their rights, progress taking root in Tibet, and the people uniting to resist exploitation. We have gathered here to remind China that A-NYA's extended sentence will not go unnoticed. He is one of the many whose voices have amplified Tibet's struggle for beyond its borders. His influence has reached us here today, outside the Chinese consulate, where we demand immediate action on his unjust imprisonment. We demand the release of an innocent man punished only for protecting the environment that sustains 2 billion lives. China, your attempt to erase Tibet and its people will not succeed. You cannot silence those of us in exile. We are your weakness, and you know it. A-NYA SENGDRA's voice has been locked away, but his courage cannot be silenced. Today, we carry his fight forward for Tibet, for our environment, and for justice. We demand his freedom and for justice, and the freedom of all who stand for the truth. China may try to erase us, but we are unshakable and we are united, and we will not stop until Tibet is free. Hey, Gyalo!
Gyalo!
For your words. Next up, we're going to have Namge, who is the president of SFT New Jersey, and also SFT International's office manager. He's going to come and speak, but maybe we'll restrain for a second.
It's really important that we're all here today. And just last week, just 2 weeks ago, we were here protesting for A-NYA SENGDRA, right before we thought he was going to be released. And as we all waited and watched to see what the CCP would do, authorities in China, in a small room, maybe in the prisons in Lhasa, they sat in a room, they came together. His existence, his life, him walking out of prison, him living his own life, was to China's illegitimate rule. And so they extended his sentence for another year. A-NYA SENGDRA has been in Chinese detention now for over 7 years, with his health deteriorating. With every day he is behind bars. I stand here today to demand justice for A-NYA SENGDRA and call for his immediate release. I call on the United Nations to take immediate actions to call out the Chinese government for their unjust imprisonment for A-NYA SENGDRA and call for his immediate release. Although we live in exile, we must recognize our privilege to freely speak out against the Chinese government, to freely stand here outside the Chinese consulate and raise our voices for a Tibetan hero. And so, there is no stopping what China can and will do. I hope we keep in mind every day that there are heroes in Tibet like A-NYA SENGDRA, like Togung Turing, like Tsewang Norbu, who are fighting for our land and challenging China's illegal occupation of Tibet, but more importantly, putting their lives on the line for Tibet. Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Thank you again for everybody for joining us, and I'll pass it on to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Namge. Up next, we have Ankar, who is a Uyghur American activist. He actually attended SFT's action camp back in 2023. And I just remember we do mock actions at action camps, right? Where you simulate an action scenario, be it a protest or a direct action, a banner drop, whatnot. And I just remember how that group of people at that action camp went so hard. They campaigned so hard in their mock actions, and I remember seeing the grit and the conviction on Ankar's face. And so to see us all rejoin here today and Ankar with us once again is really, really a pleasure. So.
Woo!
Do I gotta press a button or?
Check. Can everyone hear me?
Yes!
Alright, so my name is Ankar Uyghur, and I'm just an Uyghur guy living in New York. I want to first say thank you to everyone for making the time to be here today, and I would like for all of us a moment of presence. we can spend this moment taking in the scene around us, acknowledging that we're here at the Chinese consulate yet again, surrounded by the people that inspire us, the people whom we love, and the people who we've been fighting alongside for years and years. We can also take this time to remember the lives that have been lost because of the Chinese government and the countless others who have simply disappeared. People we can't even confirm who are still alive. However you choose to have this moment, let's share it now in silence. But yeah, thank you again. It's been 3 long years since the major United Nations report from the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights that held China responsible for serious human rights violations, concluding that those violations constitute international crime, in particular, crimes against humanity. Since then, we've made a bit of progress. The Uyghur Human Rights Policy Reauthorization Act of 2024 was passed, extending the sanctions against Chinese officials responsible for Uyghur atrocities, which is great, but the world has changed a lot in the past 3 years and has grown complacent. This struggle with China for human rights is not one that can be resolved by the passing of a few bills. China continues to adapt and find new ways around international sanctions and oversight. Hell, China is on the United Nations Human Rights Council. Backed by the recent joint investigation by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, the New York Times, and Der Spiegel, Uyghur factory workers are being shipped around China to evade international bans, or import bans, herded around like sheep across 70 factories in 5 major industries. China aims to spit on the face of the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. While a few of the interviewed laborers said that they had taken the jobs willingly, human rights advocates argue that Uyghurs have little choice but to accept such job assignments outside of Xinjiang. If they refused, they risk being labeled a troublemaker, a serious charge in a region where people have been subjected to lengthy detentions for even the faintest signs of dissent of religious expression, like owning a Quran. One guy was in the middle of saying how he worked up to 14 hours a day, and then the interview got abruptly cut short when several men surrounded him and demanded to know who he was and why he was not at work. Whatever perspective you may have, this is modern slavery, and it's obvious that the Forced Labor Prevention Act has a significant impact on the CCP. We must adapt and amend forced labor prevention bills that we've passed and demand deeper investigations and transparency on how our imported goods are sourced. On top of all of this, China's new Air Silk Road introduced dozens of new cargo routes carrying thousands of tons of goods from Xinjiang, or rather East Turkestan, to Europe. Within the past year, the number of flights taken off from East Turkestan has gone from under 5 flights a week to a whopping 40 flights a week, just in the past year. The UK's Parliament's Joint Commission on Human Rights has found the United Kingdom at risk of becoming a dumping ground for goods made from modern slavery. In stark contrast to the goals of the 2015 Modern Slavery Act, carriers like K-Mex Airlines, European Cargo, GeoSky, MNG Airlines, My Freighter, Rom Cargo, SF Airlines, Thailand Airways, and Uzbekistan Airways turn a blind eye to the sourcing of their cargo and refuse to take responsibility. To those carriers, if you won't hold yourself accountable, we will. You are profiting from slave labor and you are complicit in China's systematic oppression. In response to these findings, U.S. Senators Pete Ricketts, Jeff Merkley, John Curtis, and Chris Coons has urged the Forced Labor Enforcement Task to expand its efforts. We must aid the senators' efforts by contacting our own representatives and demanding action. Quick intermission. Now I want to preface this next part by saying that I am no
debater or like a walking Wikipedia page that remembers all these significant dates, numbers, and metrics, associated with the long-standing issue of human rights in the Chinese government. But recently, I had the pleasure of speaking with someone that was very pro-CCP and very pro-communism. And I mean, this type of love and support for the Chinese government is one that I've never come face-to-face with in my entire life. And we went on to talk about China's treatment of the Uyghurs, Tibetans, and other ethnic and political minorities, the degrees in which those minorities were wrong, and the validity of the claims of a genocide and crimes against humanity. And then how to move forward, bearing the scars of over 70 years of conflict and mistrust. Where can we go from here? In the end, it was a conversation that I'm very grateful for. But at first, the conversation was very startling to have for me. I, an Uyghur American who's been fighting against the tyrannical Chinese Communist Party since I was a kid, and them, a deeply passionate supporter of the same regime. For those unfamiliar with the show Naruto, I'm deeply sorry, but it felt like, Naruto's conversation with Obito, where Naruto and Obito shared the same goals and dreams of world peace and to lessen the amount of suffering in the world. And although they shared the same dreams, how they believed was the right way to pursue them and achieve them were drastically different. It revealed to me how, while in the pursuit of our common dream, that very vision had shaped us to be two fundamentally very different people. At the end, there was no resolution to this conversation other than that conversations like these are necessary and ultimately drive us forward. I was blessed with a unique learning experience and an opportunity to grow. When directly in the face of opposition, how did I treat them? Did I really, truly hear them out? How did I communicate my beliefs? And how did I communicate what I know and live to be true? Well, going back to the preface, I tried bringing up facts in the beginning of the conversation, and I found that I couldn't really remember any of them. It all escaped me. And it also felt like just going back and forth, going fact for fact, was not getting us anywhere. So I spoke about my feelings instead. When they voiced that they believed America was using Uyghurs as a way to destabilize China in some sort of, political internet proxy war, and that democracy and capitalism isn't working and communism is the answer, I only found within myself to speak on the feelings of my people. The mothers and fathers I've seen weep. How even once we escaped China and found new life elsewhere, the haze, the heavy dark clouds invisible to the rest of the world hangs relentlessly over our heads. Knowing that while we enjoy certain liberties, our people are subjected to the worst, and I mean the absolute worst of humanity. These feelings of ours are incredibly valuable, and the truth resonates from them. Let me be clear, when it comes to the Uyghurs, the Tibetans, the Inner Mongolians, and the countless affected by the Chinese government, it was never about USA versus China, nor was it ever about democracy versus communism. It has and always will be about upholding human rights. We are not sheep to be debated on how best to herd. We are people, and nothing is above our right to humanity and the right to our identities. We demand that A-NYA SENGDRA is free. We demand the release of the countless others that are unjustly imprisoned by the CCP. Until every last one of our people is free, we will not stop, we will not be silent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankar. And lastly, we have our very own Deputy Director of Speak for Free Tibet, A-NYA, will come and speak and close out our programming. Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Release A-NYA SENGDRA now!
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 I think I've been thinking a lot about political prisoners, a lot about what it means to be a Tibetan living inside Tibet, what it means to be someone that exists. And I've also been thinking a lot about why it's important to protest, or if it's even effective. I've been asking that question a lot to some of our leaders, to people that have been in the movement for a long time. Is protesting effective? When we're chanting A-NYA SENGDRA's name outside these consulates, is it to deaf ears? Or is the work that we're doing making any sort of noise anywhere? And a lot of the things that some of our mentors have been telling us is that there's actually probably about a few different ways to look at it. One way is that we have to take care of our own people. We can beg the UN to care for us. We can beg governments to take action for us. But at the end of the day, it's our communities and our people that need to be looking out for each other. And so a lot of times what I think about is the fact that A-NYA SENGDRA is inside Tibet. He is a Tibetan nomad. He is an organizer. He was fighting every single day to protect Tibetan animals, to protect Tibetan land, to protect Tibetan people. And he wasn't alone. He had hundreds of other people that believed in his vision for a Tibet where Tibetan nomads could graze their lands freely. For a Tibet where a Tibetan could call out corruption and be heard. Where a Tibetan could say, wait a minute, I don't want this mine built in my town, and the community leaders would listen. And so A-NYA SENGDRA is just one story, but inside Tibet, Tibetans continue to be denied their basic rights. And the thing is, our mentors told us is that when we say A-NYA SENGDRA's name in exile, we may be the only people in the world saying his name. So today, every single one of us have a reason why we came here, but every single one of us took the train, took the bus, walked over to be here, and every single one of us is carrying his name with us. That's so powerful. It's like if this protest hadn't happened, today the world could have gone on and A-NYA SENGDRA's name would have never been spoken. And so I think that in and of itself is really, really important. And I think as a community, we encourage each other. So it's like for me, seeing Shirin here, like seeing Enkar here, like it honestly uplifts my spirits and helps me continue to stay motivated for the movement. Outside of that, we know that in China, people like A-NYA SENGDRA are dying every day. Like in China, in Tibet, across occupied regions, in East Turkestan, Tibetans, political prisoners are being murdered and nobody knows about it. People are being tortured and nobody hears about it. And so we have this rare opportunity where we're hearing a little bit of information about A-NYA SENGDRA. You know what's crazy, guys? This is like one of only 2 photos that we have of A-NYA SENGDRA. This photo, and there's one more photo. And all we know about him is because of the grace of the fact that his lawyer happened to be a sympathetic Chinese person who said, wait a minute, what is happening in Tibet? What is happening with this guy? But the thing is, his Chinese lawyer stood up to the Chinese government and said, what's happening to A-NYA SENGDRA is wrong, and what happens? He gets disbarred. The Chinese government takes away his ability to practice law in China because they're that scared. So now we have this little bit of information about A-NYA SENGDRA, and we have the obligation and we also have the power to do something. We have the power to let China know, by the way, we know A-NYA SENGDRA exists and you cannot just quietly murder him like you murdered his brother. The Chinese government already murdered his brother, and who else? We don't know of the other protesters that stood up with A-NYA SENGDRA. And now, he was supposed to be released yesterday. Yesterday, he should have been reuniting with his family. Yesterday, first of all, he should have never been in prison to begin with, right? But he served his sentence. He served a 7-year sentence, and he was promised to be let go. But instead, what's happening? His family wasn't allowed to visit him the first 6 years of his imprisonment. And when they were allowed to visit him, it was for 10 minutes. Can you imagine being separated from your loved one for 6 years and you get 10 minutes with them? And now what's happening? A-NYA SENGDRA is not being released. They're saying something happened in prison and for some reason or another, excuses, they're going to keep him behind bars. So A-NYA SENGDRA does not get to be with his family. He does not get to exercise any rights. He is going to remain behind bars for who knows how long. And so as young people, what we're committing to is that we're not just going to forget A-NYA SENGDRA exists. A-NYA SENGDRA could be my uncle. A-NYA SENGDRA could be my father. A-NYA SENGDRA is someone who is doing the work that I'm so proud of. He's inside Tibet, fighting for Tibet's land, fighting for Tibet's people, against incredible odds. And so he's done the work, and he's facing the consequences. These crazy, unreasonable consequences. He's been in prison for so long, I'm not even sure if he knows that his brother was murdered in prison. These things are insane, and that's why we're out here today, and that's why I'm so glad that every single one of us is out here today, so that A-NYA SENGDRA knows that he is not just being forgotten about, that his sacrifices are so valued by us out here in exile. So that's why we're out here to shout, "Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!"
Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!
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 Okay, now I think there's about 20 minutes left of our official programming for the protest. Let's continue to chant. Let's continue to make sure the CCP knows that we're here, that we're not going anywhere. When we had our protest for A-NYA SENGDRA last week, they actually came out and started photographing us, right? Because what's happening is we're out here in the streets protesting. They're out there in Belgium protesting. They're out there making noise across the world, across Europe, across North America. So they know that they have to report back, right? So the New York consulate is going to report back to headquarters and say there was a small protest that happened in New York, but also there was a small protest that happened in Belgium, but also there was a small protest that happened in all these other places around the world. So when we say China, the world is watching, we truly mean it, right? And so thank you so much for being part of that. And a little plug, we're going to continue to protest throughout the fall, not just for A-NYA SENGDRA, but against the CCP's regime and their violent reign. October 1st is Global Day of Action for all occupied people under the CCP. So everyone, October 1st, please mark your calendars. We really hope to see you back here protesting. And this is how we build power, right? I'm really proud of Bhoe. She's one of our SFT New York, New Jersey members. We said, Bhoe, you bring yourself and 2 friends. And she did. So shout out to Bhoe for grassrootsing, for organizing. And yeah, let's keep going, guys. We got this. Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
China out of Tibet now!
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 Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Release A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Please A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Release A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Climate justice in Tibet!
Climate justice in Tibet!
Climate justice in Tibet!
China, the world is watching!
China, the world is watching!
China, the world is watching!
Let me in! Hanjushik! 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 Free A-NYA SENGDRA now! Free A-NYA SENGDRA now! Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Protecting your homeland is not a crime!
Protecting your homeland is not a crime!
Protecting your homeland is not a crime!
Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!
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 Climate justice in Tibet!
Guilty of genocide.
Guilty of genocide!
Hey, hey, ho, ho, the CCP has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, CCP, they got to go!
Stop the genocide in Tibet.
Stop the genocide in Tibet!
Stop the torture in Tibet.
Stop the torture in Tibet!
Stop the murder in Tibet.
Stop the murder in Tibet!
Free A-NYA SENGDRA now.
Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Release A-NYA SENGDRA now.
Release A-NYA SENGDRA now!
China, China, USA.
China, China, USA!
A-NYA SENGDRA free today.
A-NYA SENGDRA free today!
The world is watching, set him free.
World is watching, set him free!
Release our political prisoners.
Shame on China!
Shame on China!
Shame on China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Fascist China!
Nazi China!
Nazi China!
We want freedom!
We want freedom!
We want freedom!
We want freedom!
We want human rights!
We want human rights!
We want human rights!
We want human rights!
Shame on China!
Shame on China!
Shame on China!
Shame on China!
Fascist Xi Jinping!
Fascist Xi Jinping!
Fascist Xi Jinping!
Fascist Xi Jinping!
Release A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Release A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Release A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Release A-NYA SENGDRA now!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Turkestan!
Free Turkestan!
Free Inner Mongolia!
Free Inner Mongolia!
Free Hong Kong!
Free Hong Kong!
Free China!
Free China!
Hey! Thank you.
먼저 갤로 당드나라. 저 먼저 디스코 오진라. 상만냠도 있나? If we can. And then I know Ingar did it a little bit earlier, but if we could just observe a moment of silence for everyone that continues to suffer under Chinese occupation, for every life that we've lost under Chinese occupation, and for everyone that continues to fight for Tibet. Stand up for him and stand up for his rights that are being absolutely disintegrated. Let's go free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free A-NYA SENGDRA now!
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 So we'll take a group photo. Please give Angela your phone number for the group chat. And thank you so much, everyone. Lasso, lasso.
Hello, tang azu da tanda gami shungza khang de kebe legi de tanda ra de juktisra ni dari kebe legi de cha su bu ya ku chang su ni rus desha ni pe ya ku chang su ni de dari dila sera chikdu chinda chube ki dari chigla ani gana shung dira da gutsuwe ni mo founding day la ba inge ton shuna Mondirisha, chinda chue tari chiga. An didi ani tanda piranse lotu chokpa da, ani tanda Uyghur gana ki ngao lo yebe, ani lukpa mambu chik tanda yura, Uyghur che, ani Mongolian da, East Turkestan da mambu che yura, dun sangma nyamru tonira, kebe gemi shunza khangi dula, kebe legu perisha, ani didi New York la shunye pe bat sangma, Tizu tongba ina kang mama nyam shuna rang shai. Laso an tuchina, tuta go chimi kota sisi nangita,